Good morning, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem, editor of Michigan.com, a digital business magazine serving the Arab American communities in Michigan. We provide business and real estate news, loan and lending information, support to small businesses, and much more. Visit us at Michigan.com. It's a beautiful summer day. It's Friday, and we hope that you're having a great start to your day. You know, we had a bunch of rain, and now it cleared up, and we have the best weekend for you in the forecast. On behalf of US Arab Radio, we wish you the best of time, peace, and happiness. We thank our sponsors, listeners, and supporters, and we also thank our leaders, the founder of US Arab Radio, Layla Al-Husni. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be on air. Summer is ending. I hate to say it, but it's time for the season to change, and it's time to go back to school. As parents, we have a lot of work to do, and on all fronts, including health, clothing, and whatever we need for school. And with us this morning is Dr. Arsala Bakhtyar. She will help us understand health preparations for our children. Dr. Bakhtyar is Chief of Pediatrics at Corewell's Health, Beaumont, Dearborn, and a pediatric infectious disease physician. Good morning, Dr. Bakhtyar, and thank you for being with us.
Good morning, Khalil. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going back to school. We need to make sure our children are ready for the school year. There has been, as you well know, COVID. Normally in the fall we have to deal with the flu, or RSV, I believe, RSP.
RSV. Yes.
It's V. And then later on, I'd like you to make us understand what that means. And also, in general, some of us are lax on their vaccines for their children. Let's start, please, with an update on COVID. What's going on right now? I think there's a new variant. Also, what do we expect for the fall?
So COVID, since it has started, has always had a lower burden on pediatric patients, and thankfully so. But this year, every year, as we have seen, there has been some COVID cases, but it has not turned out to be a very devastating virus for the children, and we are hoping that it would continue to do so. However, the risk doesn't always stay as zero or low. We have seen some uptick in adult cases in COVID this past couple of weeks on the east side of the state, and adults can transfer it to children. So we still recommend giving your children a full complete vaccine series with the two bivalent vaccines with a booster for your pediatric patients, all your children, before they go to school. There is a new variant, and the newer booster that's coming towards the end of the year, I think at end of October, has that strain in it, has protection against that strain in it. So if you have already completed the booster series for your child, it's time to get that new booster towards the end of the year. If you haven't completed the primary series, please go ahead and do so.
Is there an age limit on when, what children should get it?
6 months and up.
6 months and up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, if they're 6 months, then they're not in school, so I wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Let the parents.
But of course, 5 years and up are in school, and it's recommended for them.
Yeah. Do we know what kind of fall we're going to have as far as COVID? I mean, this is more of a guess, but judging from, we have Australia. I mean, it's fall there or no? They've already gone through fall and winter, and then the southern hemisphere.
Right. It's it's always very hard to predict. If you're talking in terms of COVID and in terms of pediatrics, I'm hoping that if children stay vaccinated and we have population that's vaccinated, we shouldn't see that much of a rise. Global health is not considering this an emergency anymore. So we are hoping that it's going to be a season where COVID would be milder, just like last year.
Wonderful. As far as the flu, what do we need to know?
Flu virus, the recommendations do not change. Flu virus, as we know, is a highly variable virus. So vaccines come in later fall, probably around September and October. I recommend every child to get vaccinated against flu. Of course, it's not 100% protection, but definitely children who are vaccinated if they experience a disease, a milder disease. So flu vaccine is strongly recommended for all children.
Okay. Is there an age again?
For the flu vaccine. No, you give it 6 months and up.
6 months and up, the same thing as COVID.
Yep, but you know, children under the age of 8 get 2 doses if they've never received a dose, and children over the age of 8, if they've received a dose, get only 1 every year.
Okay. Will it get to a point where the COVID would be blended into the flu vaccine, and it's like every year we take 1 instead of 2 and 3?
You know, the resistance of parents increases as you blend vaccines more and more. You're hoping, but you can give them both together. It's just 1 extra poke.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the COVID, are we still dealing with the messenger, or are we now using the normal vaccine since it's been a few years?
You're still using the mRNA vaccine.
The mRNA, okay. RSV, what is that, and why do we need to worry about it? And then I think there's this new treatment for that.
Right. So RSV, development in RSV is the most exciting thing I've heard this year. RSV, pre-pandemically, RSV used to be a threat to children's health. It would cause lower respiratory tract infection in about 20 to 30% children. And during pandemic, we did not see that much of a rise because we were social distancing and masking. But right after the pandemic ended last year, we saw an exploding number of cases, you know, filling our peds ICUs and hospitals and outpatient clinics. Children were really sick. RSV is a respiratory virus, just like any other viruses that come in the fall. But this virus tends to affect children a lot. The burden of RSV on children is huge. Also, it affects another group, which is the elderly. But in children, I would say about up to 2 years, at least every child would have had an RSV infection. But I would say 20 to 30% of those children develop a serious infection to get hospitalized. You know, it causes a severe immune response and causes our respiratory tracts to be filled with mucus and choke it. So children, it's very hard for children who already have very smaller airways to breathe through it. And that's when they lack oxygen, they require hospitalization, they're on oxygen for days. So this virus really exploded last year. And for that reason, this year, FDA and ACIP recommends a new monoclonal antibody for this virus. And the best news is that it is recommended equitably to every child who's under the age of 8 months if they're entering their first RSV season. We did have another antibody before that was called palivizumab, which was only used in children which were high risk. So if they had heart conditions or they had any kind of chronic lung disease, we would use it, or extreme prematurity. But this monoclonal antibody is approved in every healthy child who's younger than 8 months of age, and it's entering their first RSV season, which is really a great and exciting news, because last year when we saw that explosion, we didn't see all preterm. We saw full-term infants that were really sick, hospitalized in the ICUs. So this antibody is very promising, seems promising. The immunity lasts for about 5 months, which is almost the span of the RSV season. So I'm excited about this.
When you say antibody, is that something that it's not really a medicine? It's more...
Right. So there is a difference between a medicine, an antibody, and a vaccine. So it is a type of immunity that you give to a person, which is antibody, which is already prepared antibodies injected into the child's system so that it's primed to fight if the infection actually attacks them. However, a vaccine is a component of that virus injected into the baby's system, and the baby's immune system is producing antibodies. This antibody is actually a pre-prepared antibody that's injected. So the immune system doesn't have to work for it, works faster, it lasts longer. And medicine is, of course, if it is this antibody is not a cure to RSV, it's a prevention. While medicines, if we use, are cure.
Okay. So, excuse me, this antibody is used when somebody is infected or before?
Before. So it's a prevention. So if a child is born in the RSV season and is less than 8 months old, so for example, a child is born now, today, and is entering the RSV season, it's recommended once it becomes available to give it to the child so they do not get RSV, because that age group is very vulnerable to getting RSV.
Absolutely. Now, when do we need to take our children? I mean, if they're running a fever, if they're, coughing, whatever, first thing, we shouldn't send them to school because they're sick. When do we need to go to the doctor? When can we just care for them at home?
These viruses, these respiratory viruses tend to cause something called a respiratory distress syndrome, which means that they have very fast breathing. You can see that their ribs are sort of tugging in when they're breathing, so they're working really hard to breathe. If you just have a runny nose and a high fever, I would say keep them at home. But if they start to get into the realm of respiratory distress, you want to make sure you take them to the physician so they can check their oxygen level and see if their oxygen level is low, so they can give them supplemental oxygen. So that's the time when you feel that the child is just not breathing right, is when you take.
Okay. Because, in the past, we used to monitor their temperature. And if the temperature doesn't go down, then we take them to the doctor. And now it's breathing and oxygen that we have to worry about.
Yeah, depending on what the age of the child, temperatures can be serious in certain age groups as well. But yeah, if a child is more than 2 months of age and you have a high fever and a runny nose, you're thinking everybody is sick and it's a virus. You can try treating it at home. But if in doubt, please see your doctor. Like if you're worried about a fever, please go see a physician. A mother's instinct is always valuable if she's not feeling comfortable.
Absolutely. As you well know, over the past 3-4 years with COVID, people have become more skeptical of vaccines because of social media and other comments, not really knowledgeable comments on the media. A lot of parents have lagged on regular vaccines. I see the state sending a lot of letters urging parents to make sure that their children are up to date on their vaccines. What can we say to these parents?
My message to all parents is vaccinate, vaccinate, and vaccinate. Why? Is because if you don't vaccinate your child, you're putting your child at risk for so many illnesses, especially the routine vaccines prevent you from any of those illnesses that can be easily preventable. But if you don't prevent them, they can be fatal. Example, a whooping cough vaccine or a varicella vaccine. These are all important vaccines. I have to say that, if you scare a parent, it's very difficult to unscare a parent. But, listen to your physician, talk to them, ask questions, read, CDC and AAP guidelines on vaccinations, and be a learned decision maker. Don't make decisions off of Google and parent groups where people may have had bad experiences and they may not have a cause and effect established. So vaccinate your children before they go to school.
Yeah, it's always amazes me that we're willing to listen to our mechanics, but we don't want to listen to our doctors. And this is our health, which is really, it's unfortunate. So what other things that we need to worry about as parents before sending our children to school?
Yeah, so, respiratory viruses harbor in the fall. COVID, flu, and RSV are big viruses, but we do see viruses such as hand, foot, mouth disease virus, which is Coxsackie, or adenovirus that causes a prolonged febrile illness and children end up in hospitalizations. To prevent all these viruses, get vaccinated for which they're available. If you don't have a vaccine available for these viruses, please make sure you teach your children good hand hygiene. Keep a hand sanitizer in their backpack. Make sure that if your child is sick, do not send them to school or daycare. Keep them at home. If anybody is sick, stay distant from them. And just protect yourself and protect others.
Yeah. What the last question is about the masks. I see some people masking more than maybe like a month ago.
Yeah, that's your personal preference. I would say definitely masking did show a huge fall in these respiratory virus transmission rates. But if not everybody is masking, it's hard to contain a virus. So I don't think that these viruses are also required to build your immune system at some point, because you don't want to continuously keep them in a silo and not have their immune system develop. So your children should catch some viruses here and there. They're milder so that your immune system is primed to fight off. But yeah, masking, if you're sick and you still, you're not febrile, but you're coughing and you want to go to school because there is an important test, please make sure you mask.
Sounds good. Dr. Bakhtyar, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate you taking the time.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
Were you recently at the emergency room, urgent care, or at your doctor's office being told you need a hand, wrist, or elbow specialist? At the Katranji Hand Center, we offer the latest techniques in hand, wrist, and elbow care. From sports injuries to work injuries to everyday hand, wrist, and elbow problems, the specialists at Katranji Hand Center are here to get you back on track. Call us in Troy today at 248-869-4263 or visit us at katranjihandcenter.com to schedule your appointment.
Clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and you really want.
5-year-old Lila and her mom are on their way home from grandma's, singing Lila's favorite song. A few blocks away, 25-year-old Dylan is visiting friends at a small party. He finishes off his last beer,
Later, skater.
gets in his truck, and starts for home. Mom and Lila turn onto Maple Street. So does Dylan.
Know it and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it's out, hooray. Hooray!
Every 50 minutes in the United States, someone dies in a crash involving a driver impaired by alcohol or drugs. If you're impaired and you know it, don't drive. Drive sober. A message from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning.
Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bottom, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem with US Arab Radio. We've been talking with Dr. Bakhtyar about how to get ready health-wise to back to school. And with us this morning is David Mustonen, Communications Director with the Dearborn Schools. And good morning, Mr. Mustonen.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the program today.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. We talked about health preparation. Let's talk about, are we ready for school?
We are ready. Even though we take kind of a break in the summertime, we never really take a break here in the schools. Over the summer, our operations team just goes at it full blast and does a lot of the work over the summer that we can't do when school's in session. So there's a lot of that. There's still a lot of learning that takes place over the summer as well with a lot of our summer school programs. But our staff is getting back. Our principals and secretaries came back this week. Our teachers will be back next week. But many teachers are already back in their classrooms, getting them ready for the start of the school year. You know, those teachers, they're not 9-to-5 people. They're working all the time. They're hard workers, and they are in their classrooms getting things ready. But our principals and secretaries are back, our operations people. So we're geared up. We're excited for the start of another awesome and exciting school year here in the Dearborn Public Schools.
Wonderful. What's new this year, and what do we need to know as parents?
Well, probably the big topic that I know a lot of people in the community have been talking about for the past couple of weeks is the release of our new district calendar for the 23-24 school year. And in that calendar, there's a couple changes. One of the biggest ones is that we are implementing what we are calling an early release on Tuesdays. And so if people remember, typically we have several half days throughout the year, and we had some late starts on Wednesday. So we've we've eliminated the late starts on Wednesday. We've reduced the number of half days, and we've changed over to these early release days on Tuesdays. And this time is needed. This is something that we've been discussing for a while. We've been working directly with the professional educators, our teachers in the classrooms, who've been telling us, we need this time. It's not right to put this time at the end of the day and on their own time have to come together to collaborate and work together to improve instruction. And this is part of a model. It's called the Professional Learning Community. And it is a model that we've had in place here in Dearborn for many years. and it's a national model of how to improve instruction in the classroom. And what it does is it allows time for our teaching professionals to meet on a consistent basis every week, analyze data, and go over best practices in instruction so that they can improve instruction in the classroom. So we have the ultimate goal is to deliver the very best instruction for our students, because that's what we're all here for. Our teachers, our support staff, our administrators, we are all here for our students. And so we need to be able to put in place systems that support that goal and support those efforts. And our professional educators, our teachers have told us this is a way to do it. And all the research shows that by going to this kind of a model, allowing teachers to have this time to work in their professional learning communities will improve instruction across the district. It also helps in preventing that burnout, where there's a teacher shortage across the country right now. And we want to make sure that we are retaining our awesome professionals who are in our classrooms right now. They are the best, and we want to make sure that we can retain those teachers, and we want to make sure that we can recruit the very best new teachers. Retention and recruiting is so important. And this model, we feel, and our educators feel, and our Board of Education feels, that this model is going to be a great way to do it.
So early release, how early are they going to be let go?
So every Tuesday, they will be released an hour and a half earlier, and that's across K through 12. And we do empathize with parents that this information got out later than it typically would. We normally release our calendar in February. There was a delay this year. We were involved in the negotiation process with our teachers union, and it was delayed a little bit, and we apologize for that. We understand that this came at kind of, near the start of the school year. We empathize with all the parents who are looking right now to try to figure out, childcare, because their children are going to be getting home an hour and a half early on those Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So we are delaying the start. We will not start the early release until October 10th. Okay. And that way, hopefully that will give parents at least a month to give them a little bit more time to try to make some arrangements.
Absolutely. Do we have enough teachers and subs and so forth and so on?
Well, yes, we do. But we are, it's an ongoing process. We are always looking for new teachers, and in some specialized areas, special education, and in the math and science areas. But we're ready. We're ready to go, and our staff is in place. But it is a fluid situation. We have teachers who retire, and we have teachers who move on to other careers. We have teachers who, for a variety of reasons, may come and may leave the profession. So yes, we're always looking for those new, bright, and motivated faces to join our teaching staff.
Yeah. Any tips to parents? Our children have been kind of sleeping late and doing whatever they want to do, and now they have to go to school.
Thanks, Khalil. Thanks for bringing that up. You are absolutely right. I think, people say, oh, what should we do? Should we go buy supplies? Should we go do the best thing that parents can do right now is start to get their children back in that routine. That is so important, especially for the kids at the early ages, at the younger grades. Get them back into that routine. If you haven't had a bedtime over the summer, that's okay. That's fine. That's what summer's all about. But you know what? Now that we're a week or so away, maybe let's start that routine back up again. Let's get them back into that nighttime routine. Maybe turn off the screens and spend about 15, 20 minutes reading, and then get ready for bed and get that back into that bedtime routine. It is so important for kids of all ages to get that sleep that is required, and to start the day with a good breakfast as well.
Absolutely. Is there anything I haven't asked you people need to know?
No, we're, like I said, we are excited for the start of another school year. We're looking forward to it. and we want all of our kids to be ready. Our open house this year for all our grade levels is a little bit earlier. It's on Friday, August 25th. And your individual schools will be communicating with parents about the time. It will be in the afternoon. But that's a little bit new and that's a little bit different this year, but we want to get parents into the school before the school year starts so they can learn those things like what doors their kids should come in, the times that school starts, and all of those things and routines that are important for parents to know before the start of school. So open house will be on the Friday, August 25th, before the start of school. School starts on Monday, August 28th. School starts, and so we look forward to seeing everybody back in school and on Monday, August 28th.
Wonderful. During the open house, did it include more like instructions to parents, how to, how like for studying, for, during the school year, how to deal with their children, and for the children themselves, how to study, a little bit more like a crash course. Here's what the expectations are.
Yeah, I think that in general, those are some of the topics that will be discussed at the open house. How can parents log in to see the students' information and to see what the lessons that are going on and to check grades. That's all part of it. It is so important for parents to be an active part of their child's education and to take part in that. And those are that's some of the information that will be shared at our open houses and throughout the year. But yeah, absolutely. Those kinds of things, some of those routines and some of that very important information that parents need to know to have a successful school year with their child.
Absolutely. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and help our parents understand what they're up against. This year, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And I thank you for giving us this time. We look forward to it. We have some great parents in this district, so supportive of our schools, and we appreciate that so very much. This is a great community, and I'm starting my 24th year here in Dearborn, and I am just so proud of the work that goes on in our schools and in the Dearborn Public Schools, the staff, the parents, the students. It's just a great harmony that happens, and we look so forward to another exciting and successful school year.
Thank you. We appreciate all you do and appreciate all the teachers and all they do. Thank you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please stay tuned.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, and seafood dinners. Plus, they offer big trays of your favorite food and so much more. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab is located at 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills and is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So stop in or call Kashat's today at 248-538-9552. That number again, 248-538-9552. Kashat's Mediterranean Market and Shish Kebab will definitely leave you satisfied. Life for Relief and Development has now been rated as one of the best charities for humanitarian aid. Life's humanitarian projects span the globe, and Life is celebrating its 30th anniversary of providing essential life-saving aid to people and communities in 36 countries, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. Where there is life, there is hope. And when disaster occurs here or around the world, including being one of the first responders to the Turkey-Syria earthquake crisis, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. We are looking to help the earthquake victims, and we take 0% overhead on emergency donations. So please help improve these efforts. Learn more about our involvement to help the helpless and bring hope where it's needed most. And make your tax-deductible donation to Life for Relief and Development now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's 248-424-7493.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. I would like to thank Beaumont and Dr. Arsala Bakhtyar for being with us this morning to talk about health preparation for our children. And also like to thank the Dearborn Schools as well for being with us this morning as well to help us understand what the preparation for the school year. It's a lot of work, and we have to prepare our children. The more we prepare them, I think the more that they will do better in school. It's not as easy as it used to be in the old days where I remember when we were young, we just used to go and just go to school. Today is a lot more involved with schooling, and there's a lot more involved with how to prepare the children, and the gap between now children using a lot more technology than they used before, and most parents are not really knowledgeable with that technology. It creates a gap. Also in our community, there's also a gap in language gap. Some of the parents don't speak English, and then their children are learning then English. That creates a gap as well. And I hope that we get to a point where we can mitigate that and help our students to do better and excel. And also I want to welcome and our producer, Mike has gone into a different endeavor in his life. And then we have a new producer. I just want to welcome, can you hear me? Okay, we can welcome him another time. Dr. Ali, are you with us? Okay, I can see Dr. Ali on the screen, and then we'll wait until she joins us. So we're going to be talking to Dr. Ali about her new book. It's a very exciting book. And okay, let's see if we can help you with that. We're having a little bit of a difficulty. And then we will continue to try to get the connection to Dr. Ali and then talking to her. Again, it's not easy to, like in my house, we have one of my children goes to college, and then the other one, he's in early college, which is a really great program in the Dearborn area, in which instead of going to high school, he started immediately at Henry Ford, which he takes both high school program and the first 2 years of college, which is really good. I encourage you to partake in that. It's really a good program. Also, and one of my other child is online, and she's very happy with that program. And I hope that this year they have a much better program for them as far as learning and as far as connecting with other students. When the children are at home, we worry about them not really socializing as much. And then I hope that the district this year has more plans for them to be to be together as a students at least once a week, or maybe every 2 weeks, which that's what they did last year. This is a really great program. The online the online program is doing very well. Those students are doing very well, but also, even though it requires a lot of work from the parents. What we're going to do is we're going to take a short break.
With more than 30,000 successful in vitro fertilizations, IVF Michigan is now ranked as one of America's best fertility clinics according to Newsweek magazine. IVF Michigan fertility centers are the recognized leaders in high-quality fertility care. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 9 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. A founding member, American board-certified Dr. Nicholas Shama, is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. He has performed over 20,000 successful IVF cases, and it's helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. When it's time to get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at one of America's best fertility clinics, call IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio toll-free at 855-952-9600. 855-952-9600.
Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. It is true, as the commercial said, life is too short to be in pain, and life is too short not to be knowledgeable. And one of the great ways to get knowledgeable is to read books. I'm always excited when we have new books on the market, and then it's just great to get new books on great topics. And today we're going to be talking to an exciting author who has a new book on to be honest with you, I did not even know about this topic. I'm familiar with FEMA, but I wasn't really familiar with the rarely acknowledged the Waverly Train Disaster of 1978 and the catastrophe that happened and changed America. So with us this morning is Dr. Yasmine Ali. Good morning, Dr. Ali.
Good morning, Khalil. It's so nice to be with you this morning.
Absolutely. Dr. Ali is an assistant clinical professor of medicine at Vanderbilt University School of Medicine and chief editor of Medscape Reference Drugs and Disease from WebMD in the cardiology sections. What a great background. And then you're writing about fire. That's a very interesting combination. Tell us a little bit about you, Dr. Ali, please.
Sure. Maybe the best way to say this, Khalil, is that I'm a writer who happens to be a doctor. So as you notice, I'm a cardiologist by training and by career. And I'm recently the best-selling author of this book. The title is Walk Through Fire, the Train Disaster That Changed America.
Wonderful.
And so my father is Palestinian and my mother is Syrian, and Waverly, Tennessee, where the main story of the book takes place, is my hometown.
Okay. So how did you decide, or why did you decide to write about this issue? Okay,
so just so your listeners know what this book is about, and this also explains why I wrote it. 45 years ago, an L&N freight train derailed in the center of Waverly, Tennessee. And among the wreckage were two 30,000-gallon tankers full of liquid propane. 2 days later, one of the propane tankers exploded during the cleanup efforts, and that explosion took 16 lives and all of Waverly's Newtown section with it. More than 200 people were injured. And so, as I mentioned, this is my hometown, and my parents, Doctors Sukri Ali and Maysoon Shqair Ali, were the physicians on call for the emergency department at that small community hospital in Waverly that day. And their presence there saved countless lives. My father was the only surgeon for miles around, and he had trained as a trauma surgeon at Howard University Hospital in Washington, D.C. before he came to Waverly. And it was just so fortunate that Waverly had a trauma surgeon there that day. It was very unusual for a town of that size. And no one who entered their hospital alive that day died while on their watch, which is truly amazing when you think about the scale of the disaster and the limited resources that they had. I mean, this was a small hospital in a town of 4,000 people. So, this is an event that also led to the establishment of FEMA, which most people don't know the origin story of FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency that plays such a key role in everybody's lives today. And it led to so many changes on a national and global scale, including rail safety changes that revolutionized the railroad industry at that time. And so to have a story like this about an event that had such a far-reaching impact on our nation and even across the world, and to have at the center of that story two Arab American physicians, well, I thought that was pretty remarkable. And so I thought it was a story that had to be told for so many reasons.
Absolutely. So the book itself is about the incident, or is it about the, what took place or what evolved out of that?
Both. So the first part of the book goes into great detail the lives and the experience of the people who were on the front line as they experienced firsthand. So it sort of reads like a novel, sort of a nonfiction novel. The first good part of the book, it's about Waverly, it's about my parents, it's about the first responders and how they dealt with that derailment and the disaster. And I think readers will find that the scene in the emergency room, the triage that had to be done and the chaos that they went through, most people have said that that's a very powerful section for them. And so I think it's a very gripping narrative. And then I do go in some final chapters into how FEMA came about from this and how we had safety changes and the rest of that history.
Absolutely. Now, how long did it take you to write this book?
I did 11 years of research and writing working on this book. So I started working on this book in 2011. And so I finished it in 2022, and it was released in February of 2023 to coincide with the 45th anniversary of the disaster.
Okay. And FEMA as well?
Well, yeah. And so FEMA, 2 days after the train disaster, 2 business days, the National Governors Association recommended to President Jimmy Carter at the time that a federal agency for emergency management be established because disasters like this were not under any central authority. Nobody knew who was in charge. It was really a mess before we had FEMA, and the whole profession of emergency management arose out of this. And so President Carter took that recommendation, they worked on it, and 1 year later, FEMA was established by his executive order.
What do you hope this book would accomplish?
Well, first and foremost, this book is a love letter to my hometown. It's to the tight-knit community of Waverly that embraced my parents, who have lived and worked there for nearly 50 years. I also wanted to tell this very important story in our history, the origin story of FEMA, and a story that has been little known, as you said, until now. I wanted it to be a tribute to all of our first responders, and I hope, especially with the many recent train disasters we've seen, that this book can show a path forward, show how important safety changes can be made and guide responses to future disasters of whatever kind.
Absolutely. Now, you take medicine after your parents. Who do you take writing after?
Do you know, my mother, both of my parents really are excellent writers. My father would always write for the newspaper columns about health and medicine, and was a good writer when he was in college. And my mother has been a writer, and my grandfather, my mother's father, was a great writer and poet in Jordan and Syria.
Yeah, you know, I notice, and I don't want to boast about this because we're both from the originally from the Middle East. Middle Easterns have a great imagination, and that goes well with writing, you know, and that helps with the narration of stories. Did you find that the case?
Isn't that so true? Absolutely. We have such a long tradition of great storytelling, and it helps to grow up with such a heritage. Absolutely.
What are some of the challenges you found when you were writing this book?
You know, this was a story that had not been told. I mean, this is the first history of that disaster. And so it was difficult finding all of the information because this happened 45 years ago. It wasn't online. We didn't have the 24/7 news cycle that we have today. And so finding the facts and verifying the facts and finding the details was probably the hardest part. I did so much research. I just went to so many people just trying to find out exactly what happened. And so putting all of the stories together, it was like weaving a tapestry to make it a coherent story and tell this history from beginning to end.
Absolutely. You know, there's nothing better than a well-written book. I remember reading a book called House, Tracy something, the author, I don't remember the last name. And he had written it in such a beautiful way about how he built his home. I mean, it's a mundane thing, you build in a home, but the beauty of the writing carried the story so well. And then, you know, because you bring up a really great point, is that when the book is well weaved and narrated and all of that, that help us, you know, we get glued to the book and we want to read more and more of it. And that gets the point through. And reading a little bit of your book, I get the same feeling. And I'm sure you want to elaborate on that.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you noticed that. Yes, you know what many people who have read the book have told me is that it reads so smoothly and that they couldn't put it down actually, because as I said, it reads like a novel, almost like a thriller. There's a lot of suspense the way that I wrote it. Yeah. And you just want to keep turning the pages. So that's music to my ears. Absolutely.
And that's a craft that's really and skill that I don't see a lot in books these days, in which how, you know, to keep me interested in the book. I also notice there's a great passion for the community you live in, which is really refreshing. You know, you tell the story with such a great passion, which is incredible.
Oh, thank you so much, Khalil. Thank you.
Absolutely. So where can we find the book if we want to buy it?
Yeah, so the book is available wherever books are sold, from your local independent bookstore to large online sellers like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Mm-hmm. And your listeners can also find direct links to buy the book at my website, YasmineAliMD.com. That's YasmineAlimD.com. And, you know, your listeners can also sign up for my author newsletter on my website and stay updated on my next book, The View from the Cliffs, which is a novel featuring Arab Americans as the main characters, and it should be available next spring, 2024.
Wonderful. That's great. And I was going to ask you what's the second book, and then you answered that before I even asked you that. That's a great anticipation. You know, I urge all of our listeners in our community, you know, it's very important to help our aspiring, and not just aspiring, that beginning writers or writers of first time or writers in general. The best way we can help them is, and the best way we can say thank you is when we buy their book and celebrate their work. And only us can tell our story. Only our community members can tell our story. They can tell it really, really well. And this one goes beyond that. And I urge everyone to really either take a look at it and buy it and support Dr. Ali in this endeavor. Anything I didn't ask you that you like to share with our listeners, Dr. Ali?
No, I don't think so. It's been such a pleasure, Khalil. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you. We are proud of you and all of you accomplished, and we wish you much success. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And we're going to continue. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about later on about real estate and the market. And also, I want to elaborate a little bit about Arab American authors and the importance of celebrating and supporting Arab American authors. This is something very important. And the reason being there is that when there is a new book out and we support our authors and we buy the book and we read it and we click on it, that sets the pace and sets that particular author, when they go out to write another book, they get a lot more editors interested in them because of the support. And even new authors, if they're going to go, Arab American authors, if they're going to go and try to write books about the Arab American community, they find more editors interested in them because of the support. Because, publishing houses are interested in money. And when they think a book sells, they listen to that author. So this is your turn as listeners to do your job to make sure this person is successful, because their success is our success. And this is something very important. Their success is our success as a community, and their success is our success as authors and Arab American authors. So I urge you to really buy the book. Today there are many ways you can buy books. Check it out at the library, and because publishers track this information. Excuse me. And when they see there is a great demand for this kind of work, they support it and they put money behind it. And then they listen to Arab American authors when they're presenting ideas for new books. So Dr. Ali did her work and did her part, and now it is you to do your part and support not just Dr. Ali, any Arab American writer that is telling a story. Not long ago, we had Two Moons, written by an Arab American author as well, and Dr. Jawad's daughter, and that was a great book. I bought it, I'm reading it, and it's really a great book. So again, please support Arab American writers. This is something very important. Just like we ask you always to support our radio station, because we're here to inform, we're here to share stories with you, and your support is greatly appreciated. Before I let you go, we've got a few minutes. I want to talk about the real estate market. It's still hot. Prices are still up. However, right now we're in August, the market cools off a little bit, and that tells us what? It's a good time. It's still a good time to sell because the prices are up, but it's a good time to buy because now we can negotiate a little bit more with sellers, and we start to see some of the prices dropping, and the reason they drop, and it's not because that the house's value is dropping. No, it's because somebody priced that home a little bit too high. And now, people don't want to pay too much money for a home. They just want to pay for what the home is really the value of the home. And this is why we see some of the prices dropping. Because normally when we're about to list a home and any property, even commercial, owners always want to get more money for it, and rightly so. But, sometimes there's only so much, that's like you can't really price a home way too much, because nobody's going to look at it, and then not many people are going to be interested in it because it's beyond their budget, and no one wants to pay more than the house is really worth. We may find in May, June, that people competing for homes, they may be willing to pay a little bit extra over asking price, but it's always the best strategy is to price the home according to market value. It gets more views, it gets more interest, and then we don't get in trouble when the home is evaluated by the bank. Okay, when the bank sends an appraisal out and the appraisal said this home is worth $200,000, Okay, and then we have it marketed at 250, we have to drop that 50,000. We don't want to do that. This is why, as real estate professionals, the one that really know what they're doing, they go ahead and price a home according to market value, similar to what the bank is going to look at, so we don't get into that problem. This way we can avoid problems with the bank. Also, this allows the buyer to say, you know what, the market value is 200. I really want that house, so I'm willing to pay 210 and get it. And I know that that 10,000 is extra. I have it. I can do it. This way, it allows us to close on that home, because there's nothing worse than selling a home and being unable to taking a home off the market for a month, and then the bank is going to say, well, I'm not going to give you all the money, and then the buyer doesn't have the money, and then we can't sell it. Then we have to put it back on the market. We already lost a month off the market. We don't want to do that. We put homes on the market to sell them, not just to market them. So this is why it's always good to price a home accordingly. Anyway, the market is good. Do you have any questions? You need evaluations? Are you looking for commercial space to rent? We have a great spot in Dearborn, on south of Ford Road on Telegraph. If you're looking for 5,000 square foot and a 2,000 square foot warehouse, it's a really great spot for retail, for offices, for anything that you're looking for. Give me a call, 313-819-0101, 313-819-0101. So I'll be more than happy to talk to you about whatever you're doing and whatever you need to do, because real estate selling and buying is a strategy, and you need to talk to a professional to put a good strategy to sell your property, to sell it for a good price, to sell it with less hassle. It's a lot more complicated than you think. So let us know, 313-819-0101. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all our guests. And thank you to our new producer. And then thank you to our leader, Layla, for being on deck today as well. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Bye now.